And welcome to Kneecap Biting with Smokin Jeremy B. I've got my buddy Detroit Dom on, which if I blow this up, I can actually read what his name is. Now we can start doing mocks. Absolutely. Matter of fact, we might even do one on the air. What the heck?
I love how mostly blissfully unaware I am about the third round and on.
Patty Grime comes in and says, "What's up?" Well, we're going to talk a little Lions football. Our first topic tonight. Rest in peace, way too young. Former Lions special teamer and linebacker Jesse Lemonaire passed away Thursday at 25 years young. Oh, Kurt Steele comes in and says, "What up, though? What up, Kurt?" Oh, man. Jesse Lemonaire, I mean, he didn't make a big impact till everybody was injured last year, and he got to start in a couple of games, and he had a couple plays where we got to hear his name called, but he was really decent on special teams. He was always around the ball, stopping guys from having big breakaways, and it's sad to see anybody under the age of 70 passing away, in my opinion.
Right.
James Burgess says, "Evening, Smokin and Dom." Good evening, sir. Richard Head asks, "What a tragedy. What's the cause?" They haven't released any details yet. So until I'm not going to assume anything. I know what usually happens in the case of NFL players when they don't release a cause of death. There's something fishy about it, and they're waiting for details before they say anything.
Ooh. See, I was thinking the opposite.
Remember Dwayne Haskins, we heard he got hit by a vehicle, but we didn't hear he was drunk. We didn't hear what was happening, anything until like a week later.
Like, if it was like a car accident or something like that, they would have said. I'm hoping it's, I don't know.
I'm hoping it's something simple and nothing. But remember, he was medically waived this year because he was one of our restricted free agents, and we brought him back to the practice squad, and he was medically waived just before the preseason started. And he did have a concussion last year, which has me thinking in the back of my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping it's something, not nefarious.
Let me get back to Keegan's up here. Hey, fellas, panel thoughts on if we should stick with Swift or for another year, or do we find a trade partner and get picks? That's what I hope we do. Well, he has some trade value because he did play well when he was on the field. Key point was
picks plural. We won't get picks.
I think we will get a pick if we're lucky, somewhere between the 3rd and 5th round. That's my guess. And I would take a 4th rounder in a heartbeat because we don't have one.
I would take anything.
And Brian Roy says, "Hey, fellas." He was indeed medically waived. I thought about that too. Hope it was just something his family can be at ease about. Amen. I mean, the only thing I can say is my condolences, thoughts, and prayers are with the family and his friends. What else can I say? That being said, what are your thoughts on the situation, Dom?
I was actually, oh no.
What?
I was looking to see if I could find any additional information, and the only thing that I see is his girlfriend was pregnant.
Oh, man. That's not good.
Like, I'm not, now that poor
No. Right.
That's, damn.
I mean, a child on the way and 25 years young, way too early to go.
I'll be right back.
James Burgess says, "First child on the way." Yes. Just a sad situation. I mean, It's been a while. Sad about the young fella. Prayers for his family. I am so happy to see you on here, Kurt. One of these days, I'm going to have to send you an email and have you on because I started using Restream versus StreamYard. That's why you see the ad overlay and all this stuff. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like this better than StreamYard.
Patty Graham says that's not good. A child won't now have a dad. Yeah, I hear you. Prayers for his family from Brent DeWitt. And on to other news, and I'll say why I'm okay with it. Aaron Glenn is the early favorite for the Cardinals job at head coach. And the reason why I say I'm okay with it is because we get two compensatory third round picks, one this year, one next year, if he does get picked up. And there are some valid options out there to replace him. That being said, I'm okay with it. What do you think, Dom?
I mean, grand scheme, I forgot about the compensatory picks. That makes it. I mean, even if he left for nothing, I don't think it's the end of the world. I still don't know for sure, and I feel the same way about Dan Campbell. I still don't know for sure exactly what Aaron Glenn is as a coordinator, because his first year, like, I loved the hire, loved it, but then Okuda was hurt for a whole year. Because I was like, okay, that's the guy. That is the guy that will be great for Okuda. And I think he helped him get better. But then, I mean, our defense was atrocious 2 years ago. Not necessarily Aaron Glenn's fault. We were short on talent and we had a bunch of injuries. And then this year, we started off poorly. And, a lot of us were like, fire Aaron Glenn. But we knew Campbell wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to fire a guy mid-season. And then I kind of feel like he scapegoated Aubrey Pleasant.
But then immediately the defense got better.
But then it worked. But I don't know that I can necessarily credit that to Aaron Glenn.
I credit it to the fact that our defensive passing game coordinator then became the safeties coach. I can't think of his name. Brian Dukes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he did a much better job simplifying the defense. But also at the same time, right after Okuda had that concussion, I think it was just before the Bills game.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the
Yeah, because he missed the Bills game, didn't he?
He missed the Bills game because he wouldn't clear concussion protocol. Because once you get said you had a concussion on Monday and it was a short week, you can't even clear concussion protocol till Friday. So he had to miss that week, and then he was sick for another 2 weeks after that. So he missed a total of 3 games. And because all of our players were more of zone players, we started using soft zone coverage, which is not Okuda's game. The only time he looked good then was when he was in on running snaps.
Right.
Which is why he was sitting on the bench. And I tried explaining this onto another show that I was a guest on in the past couple of weeks, because they were said, Okuda's a bum. He needs to go. I said, if you look at PFF, by far, Jeff Okuda was the best corner on the Lions. And it wasn't even close. The next closest one was Mike Hughes.
Right. And
And
the
then
thing is,
and you want to know what the sad part is? Will Harris was a better corner by PFF than Amani Oruwariye this year.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, over the last 2 years, like, we got fooled into thinking AO was good. He is really good in zone. He's terrible in man. Okuda is average-ish in zone, but great in man. But Oruwariye can't play man at all. Hence why we need. Ooh, have you heard these juicy rumors about Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, I have, and I don't like it because the rumored price is a first and a third and a possible future third, a future first. I don't like that rumor.
Oh, hell no.
That means we're giving up either the 6th or the 18th, a third round pick this year, and then a future first.
I
is the asking price.
I can't imagine. Well, I mean, it's the Rams, and now that window has been slammed shut and further secured with nails. Clearly,
And
they're trying to accumulate as much draft capital as they can, but
I
I
have looked through. Oh, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry. I
wouldn't
was just
even give
thinking about
them
something.
I wouldn't even give them a future first. Like a 2 maybe. I mean, a definite upgrade. How old is he?
Who? Amani?
Yeah. No, Ramsey.
Ramsey's
Like
going to be
late
28.
20s.
28. I would only trade pick 18 for Ramsey.
I wouldn't even do that.
Nope.
I mean, I might do it on draft day if we'd already traded down from 6 and got another pick somewhere.
Well, after scouring a ton of mocks, I will say that I have been impressed with a certain somebody that I had gave kudos to because he had the best QBR in college football and now is ranked by PFF after all the season stats were compiled as the best corner in football. Devin Witherspoon has been mocked in about 33% of the drafts at 6 to the Lions. And the more I look at it, if in a lot of those mocks, Brise and Carter are both off the board by 6. And if that happens, Will Anderson or Carter goes 1 in 99% of all mocks.
Mm-hmm.
At 2, I have seen whoever doesn't go first goes second to the Texans because they have a later pick in the first round.
Right.
And that's where they get their quarterback is later. And 9 times out of 10, it's Anthony Richardson.
I hope so. I can't imagine. Actually, I can say I know for sure Brad Holmes is not dumb enough to draft Anthony Richardson, but he's definitely a guy that I want someone else to draft so we don't.
Right. I mean, right now, the Lions are sitting at 17.8 million in cap space. They can clear 20 by getting rid of 4 guys. And I've named them in the off show when I was talking to Don before we came on. It's Brockers, Big V, Romeo Aquara, and Charles Harris. Those are the only guys that is going to be able to clear cap, and that only clears 20 million. We need that 17.8 just to sign our rookies.
Right.
So that would be 20 million in cap space. You know what that means for free agencies? We're going to get second tier guys and prove it players.
Yeah, no
and
big swings again.
The 2 second tier guys that I like that lead up a good portion of it, and then we can sign like 3 or 4 prove it guys to fill in. Sheldon Rankins, which is going to be a $7 to $8 million a year defensive tackle that'll be vet for leadership, not necessarily a starter. But he is very good in a rotational. Well, he's better than Comiskey and Buggs in a rotational role. And then you got Brian Murphy.
Bring both of them back, though, I think.
Oh, yeah, I still want to bring them back, but they'll be a prove-it deal again.
And they already said they'd take less.
And they'd take less to come here. Exactly. And the other guy that I like is Brian Murphy out of Arizona. He was the slot corner there when they had Peterson and the other guy. He moved to the 2 and played well this year. And he's not going to be looking for a bag because he's not rated that high of a corner, but he plays better than he's rated.
Right.
I would much rather take Tyree Wilson. Dude is a monster. You know, Tyree Wilson may be there at 18.
Nope.
But I know Devin Witherspoon won't at this point.
Wilson might be there
12 to 14.
Right. Which, and I've been saying this, hopefully it's not. Bless me.
I love it. Keegan Eckert says a good one here. The Ramsey rumors are like the Lamar rumors. It starts as big rumors, but over time, the rumor isn't a rumor anymore.
I think he just wants out of...
he does want out of there.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
That window is shut. He's already got a ring, though.
How can we afford to train for Ramsey then? And Kurt says Ramsey would be a win now move. The Lions aren't there yet. Yeah, he would be the type of move you'd make at the mid-season if we're, let's say, at week 8 and we're sitting at 6-2 and we're trying to make a playoff push. That's when you make the trade for somebody like Ramsey. And you're trading away all future shit and nothing this year.
I forget what I was going to say.
And Keegan Eckert says Tyree Wilson is Trayvon Walker 2.0. No, he actually has the stats to back his stuff up. He's not like Walker. Walker had no stats, and it was all upside.
He didn't play that bad this year.
No. I'm talking about coming up to the draft. Trayvon Walker had almost no stats coming out of Georgia because everybody else around him overshadowed him. He had a great combine and shot up the boards.
Right. I didn't trust really any of those Georgia players because I don't think any of them were standouts. It was just the unit. And I mean, look at them, back-to-back NCAA champs.
Do you agree with my assessment on trading for Ramsey?
What?
That if we were sitting at 6-2 and in the middle of a playoff push and we're struggling at secondary anywhere, that's when you make a move like that?
Right. Like if Okudah gets hurt or
whoever else on the other side gets hurt.
Yeah, that the number 2 is just a revolving door.
Like it was this year?
Oh, wait, what was I going to say?
And I firmly believe that the Bengals should ban Eli Apple from Twitter because every time he posts something, he looks like burnt toast the next game. And he's been talking a lot of trash towards the Kansas City Chiefs.
He played pretty well this year.
But every time he talked crap, he would have a bad game. He had more good games than bad games this year. I'll put it that way. How much will the guard from the Ravens cost? Which guard are you talking about? I have to know a specific name because then I can look up his market value.
I'm all the way out on Ravens offensive lineman. I do not need the next Rick Wagner. What's he going to cost? More than he should. I'm done overpaying for offensive linemen in free agency. It's not that big of a need.
Kurt Steele says, LOL, Eli Apple is not good enough to talk that much trash. And then Michael Huck says, is Ramsey a culture fit? I'm not sold on him. I don't know if he's a culture fit. Because he talks like a dog, but walks like a duck. If you know what I mean. Oh, Bowen or Bowers. It's Bowers. Yeah, he hasn't impressed me much.
As long as
offensive line is actually pretty piss poor in this draft from everything I've seen. If I'm going to take one, I want to take a guy late. And Holmes loves versatility and those guys with big upside late. I like the guard Neil Brokers, not Brockers, Brokers. I like him out of Mississippi State, and he should be a 4th or 5th rounder. The reason why I like him is he's played tackle, he's played center, now guard. And prior to that, he was a fullback. So he knows how to pass protect in the backfield as well as run protect block.
There's a couple few. I don't even know if I can say a few. There's a couple of good tackles.
Yeah, there's some really good tackles. And moving a tackle to guard isn't as hard as moving a guard to tackle either.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think as long as Ragnow's fully healthy going into next year, and you've got Sewell, like we could use some depth at guard.
I mean, you guys got to remember, we got Evan Brown still, and he is a very good backup center and a really good backup guard.
Had we not been trying to contend, later in the year or when the trade deadline approached, he'd have got traded. Somebody like Tampa could have used him.
Oh, Tampa could have used a cardboard cutout versus what they had at Garden Center. I'm sorry. That D line for Dallas is in the backfield so fast. Tom Brady's having nightmares and flashbacks. He's suffering PTSD right now. I think he's going to end up at Fox. And kudos to Greg Olson watching the game Sunday night when he was making the calls. And he goes, well, if Tom Brady retires and comes to Fox this year, I know I don't have a job next year. And that's talk about being self aware while doing your job.
There's a good dude coming from Arkansas who is a center guard. Oh, God. Is it Travis Swanson Jr.?
No. I wish it was something Ragnow like a little brother.
Oh, yeah. He's from Arkansas as well, right?
Yes. If we resign Evan, that's right. We do have to resign him, but he's a UFA this year. The need diminishes a bit for sure. I think we will because technically Strom something. Oh, okay.
The funny thing is, assuming Vitae is gone, we will have never seen like the streak got to 34 games and then it ends.
Yeah.
Never having seen our starting 5-0 lineman.
Yeah, don't jinx it now. Don't start talking that way now. If we cut him, we want that streak to end. We don't want it. Frank the Third, Patty Grimes says. And last but not least, well, we're already talking about it, so I might as well put it up as the topic. What do you want to see in the draft and free agency this year? And I think a valid leader at defensive tackle is needed. I think that is the biggest thing needed this year. What do you think, Dom?
Yeah. Someone like Brockers that doesn't cost as much and is also more productive on the field.
And that is why I said Sheldon Rankins. He'll be 28 years old. So that's old enough to be a leader. He's just coming out of his second contract. He's got middle of the field production, which is what you want, not bottom of the field production, because that's what we've had in the last two vet leaders at defensive tackle / DE and Danny Shelton and Michael Brockers. And I said when we signed him, I said, wow, we literally just traded for the only guy I wanted less than Danny Shelton.
And Danny Shelton. That's the only like big black mark on Holmes's resume.
And Trinity Benson.
That too.
Well, wait, I forgot. He did come in and make 2 catches in the one game he made an appearance, but got hurt in that game at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, look, maybe it's not so bad. Oh, shit, he's off the field. Rankins would be about 7 or 8 million a year.
Yeah, like
that's his market value.
Like high second tier, low first tier, and again, we still don't have a considerable amount of money after we sign our draft picks and the handful of guys that we want to bring back. But even if we did have the money, Holmes already came out and said basically, I'm not giving big money to guys. He's like, just because they've done things in the past and made big money, no guarantee that they're going to do that here.
Right. I mean, and this isn't the year to go ball out in free agency because we don't have the money to ball out. Next year, that's a whole nother animal. Because guess what? If we cut those 4 players with their dead cap that hits us this year and a little bit next year, because Romeo's doesn't carry over. His contract ends this year. You're talking about a Mike White to Detroit. He's not even a free agent yet. He still has another year with the Jets. That's the other thing I heard. Let's talk about in the division news real quick, seeing as how we went over this. Odds are Aaron Rodgers may be a Jet.
I called it a few weeks ago.
I know.
He's going Brett Favre.
He's
I
gonna
think he
go,
might just retire, or much like Brett Favre, he's going to retire.
and then sign with the Jets, and then get traded back to Chicago when Fields gets busted. He won't go to Minnesota. I don't think they're that stupid to make that move again.
Chicago,
Let's trade for a 40-year-old quarterback that's been to the Super Bowl once and won.
Chicago, based on all their needs, they should be looking like,
Ola.
depending on how the draft falls, they should be looking to maybe trade Justin Fields to one of those teams that missed out on whatever quarterback they got or wanted.
He goes, what is it with the Jets taking old Green Bay QBs? Well, guess who their OC is now that they hired? It's the Packers' old OC that was the Broncos head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. When was Rodgers happy? The last 2 years with Nathaniel Hackett as offensive coordinator because he looked great with them. Keegan Eckert just backed up my statement. Oh, that's great. Frank Reich is now the coach of Carolina. Good luck to him. But, Frank Reich failed at the Colts with 2 different quarterbacks. Granted, it was Philip Rivers, who had 1 foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel, and the other one sitting on 15 possible child support suits.
No, they were all with his wife, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 15 different kids with the same woman. I'd ask what he did in the offseason, but I think we all know.
Right.
His wife.
Fucking Kate +8 +5.
That being said, and then he had the ghost that was Carson Wentz.
Frank Reich was the Jim Caldwell hire in Carolina. Not a good hire, a safe hire, and a coordinator that never should have been a head coach.
Yep, and I said the same thing about Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was a coordinator that was not ready to be a head coach. He needs to get somewhere, be an OC for like 3 or 4 years, and maybe in 2 years make the assistant head coach move so we can actually learn the head coaching stuff.
Like every head coach we've had since Wayne Fonts.
Oh, in other Lions news, we lost our head of national player scouting to the Cardinals as assistant GM.
We'll be okay.
Yeah, I think our regional scouts are doing pretty good too. Do you think there's a scandal in Carolina soon? Don't know.
Supposedly Wilkes is talking about filing a lawsuit.
Because at the end of the season, he was almost told that he basically had the job, and all of a sudden, he doesn't.
I mean, did they officially
Facebook
interview
user says,
him
"What's
for the
up,
job?"
guys?"
I think they
Yeah,
did.
they did. They did officially interview him.
Yeah, I don't think any Carolina fans are super
Richard
hype
Head
about
wants
Frank Reich.
You up to talk with Richard Head for a minute? Because he wants to
Sure.
join us. I miss having Richard on here.
Damn, it's fucking cold. It's killing me.
Link is set, Richard. And by the way, if anybody does ever want to be on the Fan Cave chat on Fridays, all off season, all you got to do is shoot me an email in my show's email, which is smokinjeremyb@gmail.com. I made it as simple as I can. And I will send you a link the following week to be on here with us. Richard has been on a few times. He's actually a very intelligent Lions fan. He says, hopefully my laptop runs halfway decent and not like a turd. Time to upgrade, sir. James Burgess, I want a free agent interior D lineman on a cheap, perhaps a tight end too. Draft an interior defensive lineman stud, 2 corners, a linebacker, a center guard, and maybe a backup QB. I think we got to add running back to that list. We need an all-rounder. And I'm not Behan Robinson,
said
as
corners.
good as he is, yeah, he said 2 corners. Chase Burgess says my laptop doesn't run. It sits there looking at me. +1 to James. I think Dom would agree with that statement. But I have to add running back in the draft. We need at least one.
Yeah, somewhere.
Justin Jackson is fine in rotation, but he cannot handle the load as a starter. Craig Reynolds can't stay on the field. Jamar Jefferson, he can't stay on the field. He's gone. DeAndre Swift, great talent when he's on the field. And there's the key part of that statement. When he's on the field. And he goes, I left room for a wild card. And yeah, we need a running back somewhere. And the other thing we need, because Badgley showed up again and missed a field goal in that Packers game that could have been a much easier day. God bless you, Dom.
Thanks.
Badgley missed another field goal. We need a field goal kicker. And the 2 that are the best, and no, it's not Noah Ruggles of Ohio State. The 2 that are the best is Harold Melvis. Ooh, hey. I think I felt that. Hey, Harold Melvis. Microphone. Nope, here he is. What's up, Richard?
Yeah. We got audio.
Yeah. You're almost there.
Yeah.
You're coming in broken robot, buddy.
Oh, geez. Again.
Maybe it's Mevis. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Oh, easiest way. Just a second. I'm going to look up that kicker that I'm talking about.
All right. How's it sounding now?
That's better. You were trying to use the laptop mic, buddy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think what it was, I had to unplug my Xbox for I think too much of the Wi-Fi.
It's Harrison Mevis out of Missouri. That's who I was thinking of. Him and Jake Moody are the 2 best kickers in the NCAA, and it isn't even close. Chad Ryland, he has a big lead, but he's not as accurate. The other guy, Ruggles was okay, but he missed the game winner. I'm out on him. And the Clemson kicker is not available yet. So there we go. So yeah, if we're not going to take Jake Moody, I want Harrison Mevis.
Earliest I'm looking is the 6th round.
Yeah, the last pick in the 6th round, or trade back to get a 7th rounder. Do you agree with that, Dom? If you're going to get a kicker, it's pick 180, our last pick, or 181, whatever it is. And you either take, like I said, it's Harrison Mevis out of Missouri or Jake Moody out of Michigan. Unfortunately, those are the two best kickers in college right now.
I mean, they're kickers. They all kick.
Right. But I'm just saying, if you're going to pick one there, that's who I'd want. Out of those, I'd want those two. And he's only a sophomore. He's in school
Jake
another
Moody
year, Patty Grimes. That was my
would be
point.
ideal.
Yeah, I think Jake Moody would probably be, if he stays as healthy as he has at Michigan, kicking the way he does, and he does kick long field goals for Michigan, as Dom can attest to.
Yeah,
He
you're
could be
right, Facebook user. I hope he does, so we can trade him at the trade deadline.
I just young enough to remember the Lions draft.
If Swift can stay,
and
well, the last time we took one before the 5th round, it was Jason Hansen. That worked out pretty good.
He turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah. James Burgess says,
you remember Nick Frost with
or go to Denmark and find some goalies who want to learn how to kick off a tee. Well, soccer kickers actually translate well in the NFL.
Can relate. By the way, shout out to Tyrone Wheatley for getting hired as the head coach at one of my alma maters, Wayne State.
Congratulations to him. Yes, if Kathy Ireland wasn't older than me, so that means she's pushing 62 now, from unnecessary roughness, the way she looked, yeah, I would take her as my kicker.
Welcome to foot. Balls.
And if Swift can ball out, that's great. Because I don't think we're going to pay big for any running backs. You know what I like about Jamal? He didn't score his 17th.
later in the draft.
Right. I say 3rd or 5th round, either one. Because we have a mid to late pick. Hey, Jared, I have to ask you, remember just before the season started when I said the Lions would finish with a better record than the Rams and you scoffed at me?
I did. And I at the time, though, I mean, defending
you
Super
thought
Bowl
no
champions,
shot.
I was like,
James Burgess.
Quite decent, but I didn't think the Rams utterly collapsed the way they did.
I did. I said, and I gave you why.
As soon as we made that trade, almost in lockstep, Jeremy and I both said, one of these 2 years, that Rams pick will be better than ours. I'm not even mad that we didn't make the playoffs. Why? Because what team with an over 500 record ends up with a number 6 pick?
With only $17.8 million, with what Kareem Hunt wants, he wants a bag and he wants to be the guy. He doesn't want to be on a running back with committee again, and he deserves it.
Yeah, like he honestly, he's in the. They're right around the same age. He's in the exact same position as Jamal Williams.
27 years old.
He had a rookie contract. And then, a couple 1-year deals? Or Cleveland got him stupid cheap. He wants to get paid.
He's ready to get paid. He had He had that
here.
Stuff that happened in KC that got him off the team. That's how he ended up in Cleveland.
Let's say Jamal Williams wants $10 million and we don't give it to him. Would you give Kareem Hunt $8 million?
He's going to want more than that. That's what I'm afraid of.
I would look at going after Jacobs, to be honest.
I think they're going to pick up his 5th-year option.
No. They declined it in the preseason.
You're kidding.
They ran him out there week 1 of the preseason and gave him 14 carries. You know what I hope happens with Josh Jacobs? I hope he signs for less money than the Raiders offer him because he's like these. And their O-line's not good. And he balled out.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I've always liked Josh Jacobs.
you
Although
imagine
he's
being
on
behind
that
the Lions offensive line.
he's on I know, right? Or Kenneth Walker.
He's on that borderline of a $20 million a year guy, though.
No one gets fucking $20 million anymore unless it's
Jo-
Zeke.
Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Jonathan
the
Taylor will.
The Raiders are dumb enough to give him that money, as the Cowboys are dumb enough to give Tony Pollard that money. There's a bunch of good free agent running backs. We can't afford them.
Let's talk about this AFC East on what could possibly happen. Jimmy G goes to New England. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets and Tom Brady to the Dolphins.
It's entirely possible.
Uh,
How crazy would that be? All three of them in the same
It'd be
division.
interesting. That division would be impressive because then you also have Buffalo too. You know?
Right. You'd have four of the top 10 quarterbacks in one division.
I want to see. Oh, you know how we? No way he falls that far.
And I'm talking career-wise, not this season-wise. There's a big difference there. Because Aaron Rodgers didn't even crack the top 15 statistically.
Oh, he was bad this year.
No, and the thing with Rodgers, I think he'd be happy having Chris Olave over Christian Watson.
But would he? Because he doesn't trust young receivers.
See, everything hinges on the Texans pick now for this draft coming up. Everybody can say, no, it hinges on the Bears. Not really, because the Bears have the first pick. They're going to take a defensive player. They're either going to go Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. And I think they're leaning towards Will Anderson.
And I don't see...
I think they take Carter.
I've seen Anderson more than Carter is all I'm saying.
Out of the
and
number one spot is just a bunch.
Right. They need to amass picks.
But only if someone wants to trade up.
And Keegan Eckerd, you know what? They may take a step back.
Oh, Diggs wants out?
Yeah, Diggs after the game wants out because he was mad at how Josh Allen played.
That was really a piss poor effort by the Bills.
All the way around. The whole team it failed. They couldn't get the run game going. The defense couldn't get a push. The defensive line couldn't even get a push against a beleaguered O-line that's only running that had two starters.
2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. And next week, they only got 1 out of 5 to face a guy that's in the running for finalists for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
nobody's talking about Diggs coming here.
This game wasn't like...
Brady needs to retire and Rodgers needs to get lost. That's true.
Because
Diggs makes a bunch of money, doesn't he? We don't need him.
Yeah, nobody was saying about Diggs coming here. We were just saying he wanted to be traded out. But Michael Huck asks a great question here, panel. If that happens, which QB in the AFC East ends up being Russell Wilson 2.0? And I'm going to say this because I don't think it would happen, but it's going to be, it'll be Josh Allen if they don't fix the run game. Because we already saw it throughout the season as the run game.
Because of his age.
Yeah, Brady because of his age, but look at the weapons around him. I mean, he can throw a 5-yard dump off to Tyreek Hill and it'll go 90 yards. Or Jalen Waddle, for that matter. They're both equally fast, as we saw this year.
Oh, he already went. I thought maybe Buffalo picked ahead. I forgot. So I was gonna. I mean, there's a dozen teams that you could say right now. Like, what if they had Kenneth Walker? He went higher than I thought he would have.
Which is, I thought about the Lions might actually in the draft.
But I will
think
say
he's gonna
this:
be, pretty damn good.
love you, Kenneth Walker. Not paying $90 for your autograph.
And James Bird says, funny thing is I'd take Goff over all three, and a lot of folks still want him gone. Not nearly as many as a while ago, though. That is facts, James.
Goff over who?
Rodgers or Brady or what was the other one? Derek Carr. I know you still want Carr over Goff, Dom.
Yeah.
At this point, no, because their contracts are about the same. I think Carr is like a year or so older.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like, Jared Goff's confidence is at an all-time high. The question is, they were talking about this on the radio the other day. Is this Goff sustainable?
I think it is, because our O-line is not going to regress. Here's the thing. We got to look at the pieces he's got around him, and there's not a lot leaving. And Goff is only as good as the pieces around him. And we got the same OC that seems to love him.
But all of the pieces are elevated because that O-line is so good that, like, that's why we could. I'm not saying we could win the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. I don't see that happening. But
I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's improbable. How's that?
That O-line makes Jared Goff better because he's got more time in the pocket. They open bigger than average holes for Jamal Williams and whoever. And the pass protection gives our wide receivers, like, we don't need a star at any skill position. The defense just has to get better, and it's trending up.
Oh, I think
I'll say this.
Oh, go ahead.
I think the Lions roll with Goff. He lost to Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. He was already been there. He was real close.
Yeah, and in that game, and I brought this up to defend Goff.
If Todd Gurley's healthy and has even an above average game based upon what he did that year, they win.
The only thing that I don't like about Ben Powers is he was the one that gave up the main sacks over the last 2 years that has hurt Lamar Jackson. They have split right between that B gap between the right guard and right tackle. So I have issues with that. Michael Huck says, Goff is getting more comfortable with Ben Johnson's offense. I don't see a step back, but rather he might be a bit better. That could, you know what I want to see him improve on? We've asked him to improve on certain things every year with Goff, Dom, and I, and he's filled those check marks in spades both years in a row. Now, do you want to know what I want to see get better? His completion percentage. That's it.
It's the only thing.
I mean, he still cleared over a 60 completion percentage. He had 29 touchdowns and 7 picks. That's a 4-to-1 touchdown ratio, people. 4-to-1.
I would take 30 and 10. Like, I don't think he's going to go, 8, 9, 10 games again without a turnover.
But if he does, fantastic.
That was the evening out based upon how we started.
Right. Well, what helps that is the defense was playing better. And we didn't dominate the time of possession every game we won either.
Right.
I mean, look at it, because there was a couple of games where it was all Goff because the running game wasn't working.
And
yeah, Goff actually had better stats during 1 and 6 other than his completion percentage. And he had that one game with a bunch of fumbles.
Which was the New England game. That was an abomination. And it really wasn't even a bunch of fumbles. It was 2.
But like later in the year,
he tied last year with 4 fumbles and 2 lost.
Later in the year.
Yes, I absolutely would be upset
6?
if they take Bijan Robinson at 6. Wouldn't you be upset about it? Jared?
It would be one
Richard?
of the worst, probably.
Sorry about that.
It'd be probably the worst pick since since the round pick.
Yeah, it would be on the equivalent of Ebron or even any tight end in the top 10. Oh, TJ Droppinson.
Can't take him at 6.
Horrible.
If he falls to the beginning of the second round, when I say the beginning, we don't have a pick till pick 18 in the second round. So you're talking pick 49. I'm all in at 49 at taking Bijan Robinson, but that's the only running back. He's not going to fall that far. Do you know where he fits? He is the perfect pickup for the Bills in this draft. That's where he fits. And they're picking right after us, but he won't fall that far. So they're going to have to trade up to get him.
Yeah, they should probably trade up with us.
He's going to run a 40 time that's above 4.5.
Right. He's not that fast. Yes, I absolutely agree, Brian Roy. We're going to sign 1 or 2 splashy, flashy players, but they're not going to be top-tier guys. They're going to be mid-level guys. Somebody for vet leadership. Like I said, we need 1 in the secondary. That's obvious. You can say Tracy Walker's that guy, but he really isn't because he was on a rookie deal and he got his extension and then got hurt and missed the whole season. He could have been the captain this year, but with getting hurt, that ruined that. I think they need to sign somebody that could come in and be a captain. Like we did with Glover Quinn. We signed him as a cornerback and moved him to safety. Yeah, remember, he was a cornerback at Houston. So you bring in Brian Murphy, who's a lot like Glover Quinn. A quiet guy, leads by example, does know how to be vocal when he needs to with his team. And knows how to play it. Knows how to play the 2 and the nickel. That's a win-win. It's versatility. No. You say no?
If you bring Murphy, though, if you bring Murphy, doesn't that make it 6 more likely to be someone like Tyree Will or Miles Murphy or a defensive lineman?
Well, the only problem I have with that is I've seen Tyree Wilson go anywhere from 4 to 24 in mocks, all over the board through everybody. So you can say what you want, but if the guy was that good where he belongs in the top 10, he'd be in the top 10 in every mock.
Right.
That's where I'm at. He has the production and size. We don't know what he's going to run at the combine. He looks explosive. He looks fast, but does that mean he will be? No, because you know what? I've said it before. Some players just... we got a dire emergency in the Burgess home. Oh, my God. Maker's Mark empty. Be right back. +1, James. So you get a guy like Sheldon Rankins, which is a 7 to 8 million guy at D tackle. You get Byron Murphy, which will be a 5 to 7 million guy. That's only 12 million of that 20 you can clear by clearing those free guys. That still leaves 8 million for prove it deals. And we've seen what we did with 8 million last year for prove it deals. Because they can sign people to those futures contracts like we did with Shark, stretch it out over 3 years. They did that with Fox. That's why every year that future stuff, everybody forgets that there's guys that won't be on the roster where they're still getting paid because we stretch that shit out. We kick the can down the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's why every year at the end of the year, you say, hey, how'd that shrink by 20 million? You remember all those futures contracts? That's what it is. We did that with 8 players this year. And then we extended Fox before the season ended, which he deserved it. He, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves to be paid as one of the best punters in football because he is one of the best punters in football.
Yeah, and especially how this team is even now. Like, we really the only difference between last year and this year is we won some of those close games. We're still short on talent.
And we closed out some close games for a change. We didn't give up that lead at the end. We gave up the lead. We got close to giving up the lead at the third and fourth quarters, but we didn't do it. There's a big difference there than what we had last year. Last year, we had, 8 games that we lost by 1 score?
That was the main improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And
Big
now
improvement.
We're right where we should be.
Those wins were actually against playoff teams.
Are you guys up for giving Hughes another 1-year deal or just let him walk? I think he's going to want more than that because he proved he was better than a nickel corner here. Because he played like a 2, but played at the nickel or dime most of the year. And he was the second best rated corner on the team, but it wasn't good. That's saying he was the next shiniest turd on the roster. And Dan Campbell has said he does not want any turds here. I think we're going to see a big flush away, boys. And I'm 64 70-30. I'm 70-30 on re-signing Shark. I'm 30 because he did miss 5 games due to injury. I'm 70% because of how well he played after he came back. Well, here's the thing. The team re-signing period is 2 weeks prior to free agency. So the team gets to offer guys money before they walk. And Evan Brown was one of those guys that said he'd take less to stay here. So I don't think he's leaving. I think it was Evan Brown, Comiskey, and Bugs that all said they'd take less to stay here.
Evan Brown knows what's up, and he's like, yeah, I can probably be a starter.
Shark seemed to have a lot of good chemistry with the team, and it showed at the end of the season. It showed in the first game when he had that first big catch. Wasn't there a catch for a touchdown that got called back?
Mm-hmm.
Which, think about that. If that touchdown wasn't called back, the Lions win, even with the interception.
I think Shark upped his pain threshold. Like when he was in Jacksonville, one of those years he tore up, whatever, and was out for the year. But he was always getting hurt, banged up. But it's like, would you want to run yourself back out there for a 4-win Jacksonville team? Probably not. Plus, right around the time when he was about to get healthy was when J-Mo was coming back. And he was like, oh, I don't want to lose my spot.
And I said I was out on the Romeo Okwara signing. And everybody's like, but he played so good. I said he played good for a contract year. First and foremost, defensive players that show out on a contract year never live up to said contract when they get re-signed. How many times have we seen that, Dom?
Too many to recall.
And Trey Flowers, the reason why we had to give him a bag is because we were crappy, and we were a crappy team signing the best free agent defensive end on the chart. But guess what? He proved. He had his first year, he matched his best production, and everybody says, oh my God, he sucks. I was like, no, think about it. We gave him that money, and his best year was 7.5 sacks. He matched his best year. That was his only year with any production, though. Yeah, his only year.
He did what he does.
Yeah.
He stopped the run.
Yeah.
And he got to the quarterback 20% of his pressure rate. That means he hits home 1 out of 5.
Do you think so?
Your mic cut out on you again. Like, I don't know if it's the laptop or your connection. You there, Richard? Yeah, it like when it goes big like that, that's because you cut out.
Trey Flowers got pressures, and when he was healthy, he did the same thing that he does. He got pressures and, almost sacks.
And stop the run.
Right. Like he was a step too slow and some better pass rush moves away from being like a 15 sack guy.
Okay, outside of the big four I named, is there anybody else you think could get cut? Dom?
Austin Bryant.
No, I think Bryant's a free agent. This is the end of his rookie deal, ain't it?
Oh, yeah. Maybe you're right.
I don't think we keep AO. I pray to God they don't re-sign Will Harris. Even though Dan Campbell loves him, I hate that mother. And we have Anzalone for another year, but we technically could cut him for nothing.
Anzalone is one of those guys, which I'm okay with, but I keep hearing, like, damn near every day, I keep hearing that they just want James Houston to be rotational. And I'm like, why?
I think this was the last year of Cephas's contract, too. If not, it's next year. They may keep him and then just throw him on the practice squad. LOL, Anzalone isn't going anywhere. Probably Keegan not. Eckert says, funny when Don blows his nose, Richard mic cuts out every time.
Sorry. Jesus. They're saying the same thing about Rodrigo as well. Like they want him to be rotational.
Well, there's only one starter that Rodrigo had better stats than. Do you want to know who it is? And it's somebody that I've heard Lions fans say they want the Lions to sign.
Who?
Devin Bush.
I've heard things about Devin Bush.
And I've heard bad things about Devin Bush at Pittsburgh. But I hear Lions fans say that they want him here. And I don't get it. There's Lions fans that say, but Malcolm Rodriguez is just meh, and they're kind of right. He's played really well in some games and average in others. But the things he does well, Devin Bush doesn't.
Right. Well, maybe that's, I think Bush would cost too much.
And he would cost too much because he's been a starter and a first-round talent ever since he got into the league. Remember, they took him like in the 20s that year because they made the playoffs. I think that was, they took him at 17 because that was the year they lost to Cleveland after they went 11-1. Correct? Wasn't that the year they drafted him, or was it the year before?
No, it was that year.
Okay. 2020? No, because he wouldn't be a free agent this year. So it had to be 2018 was when they drafted him. Was it 2018 or 2019?
I don't think it's that far back. 2019. 10th. He went 10th.
Oh, that was their bad year in 2018, right? Wow, is that crazy? Just by going, wait a minute, he's a free agent this year, so it had to be that year. Just off the top of my head, I was doing the math. I was like, no, it had to be 2018. You know who else is a free agent this year? And if we're going to sign a prove-it player, it's somebody that was touted about. Here's the thing. Any free agents that are coming off of the Lions roster, if we want them, there's a 2-week window prior to free agency where teams get to re-sign players and no one else is able to talk to them. The team always gets first shot on upcoming free agents to negotiate and get something done. So unless they become free agents after that 2-week period, which is the week before free agency, guess what? They're going to be a Lion. If they want them, they'll make it happen. And I agree with James Burgess. He says we do not need Bush. And Rodrigo is a good backup linebacker on a Super Bowl team, but Rodrigo was excellent on special teams. Dave Fitt needs guys too. Absolutely. I'm not saying Rodrigo's gone. So I think Shark may take a little bit less just to stay here because he enjoyed his time here. But like I said, I'm 70% for and 30% against. He missed a third of the season. That's why I'm at that 30% against.
It probably ends up being like a Josh Reynolds situation. Like they'll probably give him 2 years
at a discount and stretch
and
it
then
out to make it hit less.
And then after a year, we're going to be like, are we bringing him back?
Josh Reynolds looked good for 2 games while everybody else was hurt, but was average or less than that the rest of the season.
Saying possible someone.
I got it. I think it's possible someone throws starter cash at Evan Brown and wide receiver plus cash at Shark because his late season was good, which is why I want a discount to keep him. And Rodriguez will get better with time, fellas. Brian Roy, I get that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as a starter, he had an okay year. Period. I'm not even looking at rookie or anything else. He had an okay year. And Mark Malek, again, the Lions get a chance to sign every free agent coming off their roster before they hit free agency. What I'm saying is he had 87 tackles. He played in all 17 games. Devin Bush had 81 tackles, played in all 17 games. But Devin Bush was a starter where Rodrigo was off and on a starter, if I remember right. Rodrigo didn't. Well, if you say then it doesn't matter who wants a player if the Lions sign them before they hit free agency, is all I've been trying to say. You don't have to get rude about it. And then if he wants his bag, then he can go. He can decline whatever is offered. I think he may want to stay here.
I wonder what the magic number is for Shark, or if he just wants at least like a 2-year deal.
Who knows? I mean, we're not there. None of us are in the office talking to him, so it's all speculation. Oh, I absolutely agree. I would draft another interior old lineman because you build that trench through the draft, which Brad Holmes has preached repeatedly, and he's been doing it ever since he's been here. He drafts somebody every year on it. I think he'll draft another one, but I think he may take one a little earlier than the 5th round. But if he doesn't, and that guy's there, Neil Brokers, Broekers. James Burgess. Josh Reynolds will just follow golf around. We get him as a cheap wide receiver for no matter what.
And that's the thing, though. Like with Amon-Ra, with
and
Shark,
Jameson.
J-Mo, Reynolds is a 4.
And he is cheap right now, so there's no sense to get rid of him.
Cheaper to keeper.
That being said, it's time for me to talk about my sponsor. A1 Tire and Auto Repair, 3 locations to serve you. We have the one in Old Coquitlam where they have TNT auto sales as well. Great used tires and used cars at a great price. And a great price on new tires as well. Come on in and check us out. That's also where I work most of the time. Then there's Broadway in Bay City and Genesee Street in Saginaw. Stop in, check us out. Tell him Smokin' Jeremy B sent you. And Mad Lab Custom Creations. That's Dan Leonard's love child, where he gets to do some really cool stuff. He gave away some really cool stuff today. I saw a Dan Marino. I saw a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen. I saw all sorts of stuff he was giving away today, and I was like, I didn't get in it. I didn't have the money. Okay. He goes, have you looked into DeJuan Jones? He's listed as OT, but I think we could slide him inside and use him at offensive guard. He's bigger than Dan Skipper. What school is he out of?
Bigger than Dan Skipper, because that dude's like 6'7". Yeah, 6'13".
6'13".
And he was a tackle, and they put him at guard, and I'm like, how is this working? It's because the rest of our O-line.
6'8". DeJuan Jones. Did he declare for the draft?
Skipper was playing.
He's a senior. He didn't have to.
Skipper was playing left guard while Jackson was hurt, right? I believe.
Nice. And Danger says, Jeremy Don, one of these days I'm going to channeling Pink Floyd. I'll get my basement finished in a camera. Awesome. Then you can be on. I'd love it. Well, where's that comment at? I think people are saying that in a 2-week time we don't get a contract with them, but then we try in free agency, someone scoops them up. I hear what you're saying, JB, and I agree. Well, usually if we don't get them by the time free agency starts, they're usually gone. That's the way it's been always with Detroit. That's why the team free agency signing period is before the actual free agency. You try to re-sign the guys you want before free agency happens, because once they go, they're usually gone.
Right.
That's been the story 99% of the time. There's that 1% where you get like 3 guys out of 100 or 3 guys out of 300 that come back to their original teams because they didn't get a good enough deal in free agency.
I was going to say, because once actual free agency starts, the money's just getting thrown around.
Yeah, and who's one of the teams that has the most this year? Chicago. Cleveland doesn't have a lot of cap room this year coming up. Because guess who gets to play all season and doesn't have that $1 deal in his contract?
Right.
Deshaun Watson. I'm wondering if that's the Russell Wilson deal 2.0.
No. Like, Watson he didn't play well this past year, but he was also shaking off, a year and a half of rust.
Serious question for Dom and JB. There's a giant interior defensive lineman at Baylor, 360 pound. Either you know if he can move. Are you talking about Saika Ika? Yeah, that kid can move. Because if that's the big guy I think you're talking about.
Yeah. I see him usually in mocks in like the second round. Sometimes top of the third.
I see. That usually goes like mid-second round. Which means
I bet he slides up by the time the draft rolls around.
If he does anything at the combine around 5 seconds, expect him to shoot up as a defensive tackle. But he actually was on the defensive line for LSU and transferred to Baylor. He's got a national championship as a freshman with Joe Thorough. Yeah, the kid can move. He has excellent hand pop, and he's one of those rare guys that are big and knows how to get low. I'm not saying he's got to bend like Houston.
I wouldn't either.
There's a significant number of big DTs in the draft. Part of the reason I wouldn't draft Brian Brisset at 6. If we make that trade back to 9 because nobody takes Stroud by 6 and let Carolina take Stroud, I'm all for it at 9.
Yeah, it's another one of those draft years where I'm pretty sure everyone that we really want is going to be gone by 6, and I don't want to take a chance. Just trade down.
James Burgess says an old coach of his says, at the end of the game, when everyone is tired, big guys are still big. It's facts. But every now and then it's nice to get one of those big DNs that are almost big enough to play D tackle, because it's like having a third D tackle on the line. There was somebody I looked up. The other guy that plays next to him, he's played D end and D tackle, and he weighs 293 pounds, but he's only 6'3". That's excellent as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm all about those guys. They can play both.
But 6'4" and 360.
Sounds like Sean Rogers.
He goes, oh, geez. Huge DEs are godsends. He goes, wait, how big? 6'3" and 293. So he's almost exactly 300 pounds and an inch later, but he's faster than Saika Ika. But he's played next to him, so you got that teamwork thing over the last 2 seasons.
Shit, can we draft them both?
Possibly, because the other guy won't go till the 3rd or 5th round. Depending on where he falls, he could go anywhere within the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. Now, the guy that is huge that I like from Army, and since our President Joe Biden signed in that guys that are going pro can actually defer their enlistment until after their pro career is done, kind of like they did for Dave Robinson and Roger Staubach. Andre Carter in the 2nd round, 6'7" and 265-pound defensive end / outside linebacker. I'm all in. 6'7", 265, and can play 3-4 outside linebacker and 4-3 DN, which means he'd fit perfect in a 4-2-5.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine throwing him in the rotation? Hutch or Houston and him on the other side?
And we might actually, assuming we re-sign Deshaun Elliott, we might actually finally have the depth at safety to play the 4-2-5. And we're weak at linebacker.
And I think Deshaun Elliott becomes the Viper in that role, because Tracy Walker's better in coverage than Elliott is.
Right.
And Kirby's better in coverage than both of them.
Right.
How crazy is that? Kirby Joseph has 4 picks, and 3 of them are off of the former MVP of the league last year.
Should have been 4. He dropped one. Or no, he caught one. No. Back, and he dropped another one.
Right. It should have been. Elliott has to be resigned or no? There's a chance. The safety branch is the pick at 6. I don't want a safety at 6. If you're going to pick a defensive back, it's Devin Witherspoon or Joey Porter. Yeah, Kirby dropped 2 and had 1 call back. So he had a chance at 6 interceptions this season, with 3 more, all from Aaron Rodgers. And here it is. Screw it. Kirby Joseph's out there somewhere.
Right.
But I don't have a Big 12 on there. By the way, I looked it up. There has been 3 players in NFL history to have 9+ sacks and 3 interceptions. One is a Hall of Fame linebacker, one is a Hall of Fame defensive lineman, and the other one is this guy, Aiden Hutchinson. One played for the 85 Bears, and one played for the Super Bowl Giants from the late 80s, early 90s. Anybody out there? You can't say anything, Dom. Anybody want to guess who those two are? Yep, Richard Dent is one. He had 12 sacks that year and 3 INTs.
And that Walker is possibly the odd man out, possibly trade or cut. Trade maybe, cut no. We just re-signed him.
We just re-signed him. I don't even think a trade's possible until next season because we signed him to a 3-year deal. This is only his second year.
We could trade him, but the cap hit would be nasty.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Cap hit wise, we wouldn't. We'd take a cap hit for 2 years. Richard was mediocre at calculus. You want to guess at who the other guy was? LDV Tennis comes in and says completion percentage. Mahomes 66.9, Lawrence 65.9, and Goff 65.1. Oh, he did. He must have brought it way up.
I don't think.
Yes,
Goff.
Lawrence Taylor was the other one. He had 12 sacks as well and 3 interceptions as an outside linebacker. So I think that's pretty rare company, and why I think this guy should be defensive rookie of the year, but because the one guy plays in the biggest media market and also where 60% of the AP media writers are, I think Sauce Gardner's the defensive rookie of the year.
And first team All-Pro.
And a first team All-Pro, but that also has to do with the AP writers that are there. But, we have 9 alternates for the Pro Bowl flag football game that we got coming up. So I have the feeling we're going to hear something. And James Burgess says, by the way, if Hutch ends up at 95% of either of them, especially Dent, he's going to get fitted for a yellow jacket.
Well, let's just see what he does next year.
Yeah, I want to see how he does his sophomore year. Is he going to have a sophomore slump? Whatever. Hopefully he doesn't do the Chase Young thing and miss like half of 2 seasons in a row.
Right.
But I said the goal was him to exceed what Chase Young did his rookie year. I would rather them go Jack Campbell than Noah Sewell. After watching Noah Sewell in a lot of Oregon games, he looked slow. He's not a sideline-to-sideline defender. He wasn't covering well most of the year, and he missed a lot of tackles. That's why Oregon lost a couple of those games, because he had guys wrapped up and just didn't hold them.
Wait, I thought Noah Sewell was Utah.
Noah Sewell was Oregon. Nephi Sewell was Utah.
Oh, right.
I love that Woolen isn't getting much love for. He's actually third. It's Sauce, Hutch, and Woolen. But he plays West Coast. How often is any of the player? I think the defensive player of the year this year is between Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons.
Yep.
I think they threw Chris Jones in there as the third option, but he ain't going to get it. And all 3 fantastic rookies. Yes, they were. I mean, think about it. Woolen has the most interceptions in the league with 6. That's pretty impressive for a rookie, but he did it mostly out of the nickel and dime slot. Sauce, Tariq, and Hutch. And everybody says, why did you choose the nickname A1 Sauce Gardner? And he goes, because you can put this shit on anything. And he pretty much did. Adjusted completion percentage. Mahomes 77.9, 77.8, Burrow 77.6. Minus drops, throwaways, spike balls, batted balls, and passes with a QB hit. Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. LOL, LOL, LOL. I didn't know that. Thank you. More like cheesehead sauce. I don't know. Sauce is actually the second best ranked corner for the regular season on PFF. And that's not just rookies. That's saying second best corner overall in the league.
And literally by like week 5, week 6, teams were already not throwing at him.
Right. Including our Detroit Lions. We basically didn't throw at him until they went zone. And as soon as somebody got out from around him, that's when we threw at them. And he still didn't allow a touchdown, the little prick.
Not since high school.
Oh, he did give up 2 by the end of the season. 2.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. I was going to say, I'm like, I thought he gave up like 1.
Has our relative athletic score is after the combine. I cannot wait for them to come out. But there is a corner that we could take late, like 5th round, that I want to mention. And no, it's not because it's a homer pick. It's because he was one of Feldman's freaks coming out of high school. And he ran a 4.2840 his senior year on the track team. DJ Turner at 6'3" and 200 pounds out of University of Michigan.
6'3", I like.
200 pounds ain't bad either. I'm not saying he's going to run that now, because at that time he was 5'11" and weighed like $182 soaking wet. So he may have slowed down a little bit, but 4.2840 is some blazing speed. I'm going to cheerlead for Tyree Wilson at 6 until I see a reason not to. Nothing you can say can stop me. Do you hear me? Nothing. That's fine. You can cheerlead all you want. I'm good with it. But you know what? I think edge is not the bigger need. Defensive interior lineman is.
True, but I think the
James
reason
Burgess says 4.28. That's bolt speed. Yes, it is.
Wilson is shooting up draft boards like a lot, and this is just in the last like 2 weeks. And the thing is, I like him better there than I do the DTs after Jalen Carter.
Right.
Or take neither of them and trade down, hopefully.
I mean, if we trade down to 9, to me, that puts Devin Witherspoon, Trenton Simpson out of Clemson, the linebacker, Brise out of Clemson. That puts him in play. All of those get put into play at 9. At 6, I'm a little iffy taking a defensive back.
Exactly. Or anyone.
Oh, Keegan, stop it. Richard is a Lions fan. He's cheerleading for a Texas Tech guy. Speaking of which, good players do come out of Texas Tech. There's one that quarterbacks for a team in the AFC Championship this year.
Don't tell Chicago that. They were sure that Mitch Trubisky was better.
I know.
Granted, pretty much no one other than Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs GM knew that he was going to be that good.
No, there was some talk about it. Keegan Eckert goes, I know, all filed in jokes. The guy I'm pounding the table for in the second round, and I don't care if it's at 49 or if it's at 51. Yeah, that's how close the picks are between Detroit and Minnesota. Andre Carter. I want that pick in one of those picks. 6'7", 265. Okay, EPA. Goff is 0.166. Burrow 1.164. Explain to me what EPA is there, LDV tennis, because I'm just having a estimated pass average. Is that what that is? Or Aleem is our best interior D lineman. I doubt I would get much flack there. But I love Bugs and Comiskey as rotation because there's no such thing as being too strong on scrimmage line. Oh, expected points added per attempt. I got you. Nice. Nice. I just, there's some terms I don't know, and I'll admit it, and I'll be the first one to ask for it to be explained, because when I talk about it, I don't want to be bullshitting people. I could do this all night, but I do got to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm tired.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say what I normally say. What's your parting shot tonight, Dom?
Trade down.
All right. This has been Kneecap Biting with Smokin' Jeremy B, and I'm going to end the show the way I always do. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And until next Wednesday when we do the NFL Roundtable Talks, have a great evening and see you then.